It mightn't be much, but it's home on the road.
Yeah. Oh, I think it's great. Okay.
It'll probably...
I get my cheat sheet here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Looking back on your days with Taste, how do you feel about like what you, Wilson, and McCracken did? What did you learn about that you later carried on to your solo career? And how do you feel about like the music you did then today?
Mm-hmm. So you just want me to answer that?
Yeah.
When you Did you tell me when?
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're running? Oh,
yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. Oh, I look back in those days with a certain amount of affection, but I don't like to live in the past either. But when it's your first real step into rock and roll and blues, you know, you obviously remember good memories of touring and being in the studio for the first time. So, I mean, I cut my teeth in that band, but a lot has happened since, and I'm more conscious of what's happening now and the future.
Okay. When was it that, and why was it that the three of you guys decided to part company?
Yeah. Well, the band was running for about 4 years, 2 years with John and Richard, and we just played 340 days a year. Who knows? A band just fizzles out if it runs out of compatibility or whatever, and it just came to an end. But I think it just happened at the right time.
Okay. From your very first solo album on Chrysalis, well, now it's on Chrysalis, back then it wasn't, but you had Jerry McAvoy.
Mm-hmm.
You two obviously have a special relationship and you feed off of against each other. What is it? How would you describe your relationship with him?
Well, first of all, he's from Belfast, and that's sort of my second home in Ireland. I kind of adopted Belfast with the Taste, and we got very friendly with the musicians there, and there's a certain mentality in that city that is nice, and it's a kind of a casual but serious way of playing, and you get a little bit of ESP going. And now with Brendan O'Neill, the drummer, he's also from Belfast, so it's a crazy gig.
3 hours or something?
Oh yeah, and because Brendan, his foot is patched up, and I fell over a monitor and hurt my foot, so it's really emergency ward 10, you know.
Okay. What is it? What would you say it is between you and Jerry? What's the chemistry there?
It's just a little bit of ESP, and it probably dates back to my affinity with Belfast musicians and that town. It's just a sort of a humour that you can bounce off. Also, there's, certain terms of reference. A lot of people around there listen to a lot of R&B records, and it just a lot of shortcuts mentally, which is great.
Okay. Martin, do for you on keyboards, and why did you stop using keyboards? If you could talk about that.
Sure. Well, Lou was first time I heard him playing. He was one of the few guys in Europe that, at the time, that could, at one point, sound like Otis Spann, and the next minute he could play like Jerry Lee Lewis. He covered the whole range, and he just came along on an Italian tour, and we just tried him out, and it just sounded good. And bit by bit, it naturally changed the harmonic sound and the chord structures and so on. And we had recorded a couple of albums together, but after about 5 years, I felt like going back to the guitar, bass, and drums idea, and because it's more freeform and more rhythmic. But certainly, he's an A1 player. It's great.
Do you miss having that fill where you can lead off of it? You know what I'm saying? That you don't have to play those chords because he's filling in there or whatever.
Yes and no. I mean, yes, from the point of view of, naturally, every other musician playing with you is an inspiration. But no, from the point of view of you being responsible for the chords and the chops and the leads, and just for the openness of the trio sound.
Okay. Okay, I'm a big blues fan, and obviously you are too. What do you get out of the blues, and who are the guys you like? Do you like Little Walter, Big Bill Brunsey?
Yeah.
What do you like?
Well,
what do you get out of the blues?
Well, as a child, I liked Leadbelly and Big Bill Brunsey. They're the first blues players I heard. and it was like more acoustic blues, country blues, and but obviously growing up on rock and roll and folk music, I soon looked behind the rock and rollers and found people like Jimmy Reed and ultimately Muddy Waters, and but like any European, educating yourself in the blues was a slow process. You had to dig out this record and that record and eventually put the whole picture together. But the people I like would be, I like Junior Wells and Buddy Guy, the late J.B. Hutto covered one of his songs, and he's a great slide player. I like Albert Collins a lot, and but I still have a soft spot for the old acoustic players like Scrapper Blackwell, Blind Boy Fuller, Blind Lemon Jefferson, people like that.
All right, since '69, you've had like 18 or 19 odd albums. Through all of that, you've stuck with your music, whereas other groups saw the shift in musical tastes and tried to mold their sound to fit those tastes.
Yeah.
You stay true to your roots. Why?
Well, I just, you have to believe in yourself, and I can't really chop and change every other year. I mean, when different fads came out, people were saying to me, "Oh, Rory, come on, you got to sound like Gary Glitter, and you got to sound like T-Rex, you got to sound like every new shift." But I mean, I'm not a blues purist to the point of distraction, but I do believe that in blues, rhythm and blues and rock and roll should be kept fairly untampered with. And now the latest fad is R&B is coming back, and this is the joke. So it's just as well that I didn't start going off on these wild goose chases. But I mean, I understand some people are more light-footed about changing styles, and they like to be reggae one minute and then change to new romantics, whatever. But I mean, I just believe in the roots of the music, and I just try and work on that, and I just stuck to it. That's all.
Yeah,
it helps.
All right, Robin Trower and you're both in a similar situation, trying to get a record deal and the whole thing. Why is it you think that radio doesn't play your songs? I mean, both you guys have tremendous talent, but what do you have to do to get like the record barons to see that and get a deal? What's the problem with them and the radio and the whole business?
Well, in the last couple of years, it's become a more cutthroat, and a lot of the A&R people and record companies are getting very, pop record and video conscious and so on. But I mean, I've got my record deal sorted out now after a bit of fussing and fighting. But and I just wouldn't go with any company. Some companies will say, okay, we'll give you a deal, but you've got to work with this producer. You've got to wear that. You've got to sing that. And it's not an ego trip, but I mean, you have to believe in yourself. Even if you're slightly wrong, it's better to do your own thing. And but certainly a lot of the so-called artist relationship thing and the ethics of the older companies or the A&R men before this generation were a little more true to their hearts. The newer bunch are just all, some of them anyway, are really more strictly dollar conscious and strictly points and products and words like that.
Yeah. Along those lines, where do you see yourself fitting into today's music? How do you want to be seen or heard? And what's important for you now in terms of your goals? What do you want to do with your music?
Well, I have musical goals inside and in my mind, which is it's a very abstract way to live, but that's the only way I can live. I just work from day to day, week to week, as opposed to having, the album, the video, the tour, the stew, you know what I mean? I don't like big projects, but of course that's not the Dale Carnegie way of living, but I'm happy as long as I can proceed, but I see, all I try to do is to say that I play with my heart and my soul, and I have respect for the roots of the music that I play, but I would also like to be contemporary and valid today. And I don't think that's a whole contradiction either.
Okay. It still must be, when you're at a gig and you're getting that feedback from the audience, and you see that guy in the front row, and you're looking at him, and you know that he's digging your music, and he knows where you're coming from. What sort of satisfaction reward do you get out of that when you see someone there and who's getting off like that?
It's great, you know. You don't analyze it, obviously, but also it's good if you can actually communicate with people, an audience, young or old, and not strictly on a blues educational type thing. I don't agree with that either, because that's snobbery. But if you can actually play from the heart with the real truth there, and you can communicate by any means, whether it's the tempo or the way you present the song. But if you can turn people on, I mean, that's the oldest reward in the book for entertainers, you know, for musicians.
Okay.
He said, let's go. I put some whiskey on my left and on my right. It was 636354. I was out of sight. He took the big razor, put it to his wrist. He said, Rory, I think I curse the day that you exist. And when I die, bury me deep. Put some whiskey and gin and bourbon at my head and feet. Tell everybody else, got to sleep. I'll come back and haunt you in my midnight creep. There's nothing personal what you done to me. I think I'll hide away in the deep blue sea, hide away in the deep blue sea, hide away in the deep blue sea. I was on the stage with B.B. King. You want to see that man work those strings? Now, I'm a modest man, I won't like to boast. I said, Riley, bend the string you like the most. That's pretty good. Yeah. 7 days of thunder, 8 days of rain. Feel I'm lying under a Pullman train, Pullman train, Pullman train. That's a million. Thank you. If you got money in the bank, don't let your woman draw it out. 'Cause you take all your money in, then she'll kick you out. I once had money in a fast Cadillac car. Made a big mistake. Let my baby know where they are. She took all my possessions, then she kicked me out. Now, young man, heed my advice. I'll tell you once, may not tell you twice. Keep an eye on your old lady anytime she goes stepping out. Only one woman that I hate more. You know who that is. That's my mother-in-law. My baby's pretty fast. Her mother's even faster on the draw. Well, I know my pretty baby, I believe she just might jump and shout when I walks down to the bank and I draw all my money out. Baby, listen, baby, buy a little drink for me. Try and help me somehow, 'cause I'm in misery. I feel like maybe there's a stranger in my soul. I'm lost and trudging in a lonesome city, can't come in from the cold. People dancing on the street permission, contacts falling down. If my line at the box of suspicion, there's a voice on the telephone. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Sure is dark in this clockwork city. Contact's never gonna show. Got my players and I must move. There's a knock upon the door. Started here in the silent city. Shadows falling down. Disconnected but I don't need pity. The net's gonna burn us slow. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. 4 o'clock and nothing's moving. 6 o'clock on the daylight stir. Morning comes, must be moving on. Now my mind's been burned. Makes me feel such a long, long way from home. Yeah. Staring, morning comes, must be moving on. All night long, my mind's been burning, makes me feel such a long, long way from home. Hey. Ain't it funny that I feel like to be a stranger on a foreign show? Got my plans and I must book because there's a knock upon the door. Still in transit and I force the danger mark, never got me blown. It's getting strange, it's getting crazy. What is going on?